Because I believe you will do this because you're running your side business as an LLC. You will be putting all that money into the bank, recognizing your 25% net income. That 25% net income, you could take that money, reinvest it back into your business, either through marketing, getting better equipment, uniforms for yourself, making sure that you retrofit your truck, or if you're in the trucking business, making sure that you have everything you need for your truck so that you can grow your business some more, take more jobs, or even come to a point where you hire an employee. Welcome to Osage Financial. If you're a student, we hope you find the information in this episode valuable to you. If you're a company looking for accountants, click the link below and we'll be in touch with you as soon as possible. Today's episode, we'll be answering 5 questions from our audiences. So we definitely appreciate that people are reaching out to us, asking us different questions, and we'll get going. So the first question that I have on my list here is, how long does it take to get an LLC in Texas? So it's a very good question. For the last month and a half, we have been talking about the idea that every technician needs an LLC, right? You have a job as a technician, as a plumber, trucker, whatever it is you do. On the side, we absolutely recommend that you have an LLC. Look, we're in a world where you at least need 2 jobs. The way I look at it, you can have 1 job and 1 business and grow that. So how long does it take to get an LLC in Texas? If you do it with an agent or a company like our company, it could take a couple of days to a week. If you do it yourself and you send it by PayPal mail, it could take up to 3 weeks. However, in about a week and a half, you should be able to see on the Texas SOS portal that your LLC has been approved or denied. If it's denied, they'll let you know why. If it's approved, you're good to go to the next step of launching and growing your business. So how long does it take? Anywhere from a couple of days to 3 weeks. It depends on how you do it. If you do it with us or an agent, 3 days to a week, you have your LLC, and then we can just help you get your operating agreement, get your EIN, get your bank business account, and you're good to go with your trade or with your business. So it's a very good question. Doesn't take long. It just takes you getting the action and getting it done. The second question that we have is, do you advise having 2 jobs in this economy? So, hey, like I just said about the LLC, right? I really advise having a job and having an LLC. We are in a very, very changing economy. In 2020, there were a lot of stimulus money that was put out into the economy, trillions of dollars. There was more money put out into the economy in 2020 than from 1913 when the Federal Reserve started up to that point. That's a lot of money in the economy. One way you can see that is when you look at the price of gold. Gold was at $3,000 not long ago. It's about $5,000 now. I started buying silver when I was 18 years old, and silver was $15 an ounce. 2 weeks ago, silver went to $120 an ounce. What that means is there are more dollars chasing gold and silver, meaning there's more dollars in the economy creating inflation. So do you need 2 jobs? I recommend 2 jobs in the way of a job and a company. However, if you can't start a company and you have to have 2 jobs, absolutely. Absolutely, yes. Even if you just look at it this way, inflation grows at 2% a year. That's the Federal Reserve target. The Federal Reserve targets inflation at 2%. We all know because of the money that's in the economy, inflation is a little bit higher than that. If you made $50,000 a year last year and you're making $50,000 a year this year, you've already lost 2% of the value of your money at the least. So if you're in the same place that you were last year, you've actually gone backwards. So yes, you need 2 jobs in this economy. However, if you can make a job and a business, you're in a far better position. Here's the reason why. If you have a job, you have guaranteed W-2 income coming to you weekly, bi-weekly, or monthly, however you get paid. If you have a business, you can take advantage of the deductions that a business allows you to take. Also, you can take advantage of the growth opportunity that a business has. I run a business and all of our employees have 2 things that happen to them. They have a capped income if they're hourly and uncapped income if they're commission. For business, it's the same. Your income for your business is uncapped. It's as much as you can do as many customers as you can get, and as much growth as you can create, as much growth as you can sustain. So if you have a job in an LLC or a job in a business, you're in a far better position. If you cannot do that, 2 jobs in this economy, absolutely recommend. If you do have to get 2 jobs, make sure that those jobs are providing you the highest possible value, right? You can't have 2 jobs, one at McDonald's and one at Wendy's. That is not sustainable to you, right? However, you can have a job in a trade, you can have a job in a warehouse, you can have a job in an office, like we have a job in an office, a job that will bring you the maximum possible income, and then a side job that can bring you some income to sustain that life and to stay ahead of inflation. The goal really is you have to stay ahead of inflation. Government prints money all the time. And the more money that's in circulation, the less money or the less valuable the money that you have is. So if you can make more money or if you can be ahead of inflation, you are completely, absolutely in a far, far better position. So 2 jobs or a job in the business. Absolutely recommend that. Number 3 is, what software do you recommend for accounting in a small business? For accounting in a small business, we recommend QuickBooks. It's simple, it's efficient, it can sync with your bank so that you can see your bank transaction, categorize your bank transactions as either revenue, accounts receivable posted to a customer's account, as expenses, and it's pretty simple, pretty click and go. With QuickBooks also, there's so much support out there. You can just go to YouTube and see how do I do this, and it's everywhere, right? Or you can get in touch with a company like our company. We do accounting all day, every day, even in our dreams, and we'll definitely help you with your small business, QuickBooks accounting, or any software really. You can use SAP, NetSuite. There's a lot of them. We recommend though QuickBooks just because of the ease of use. And then of course, if you're a very small business or if you're just starting out, the pricing is really affordable. They make it so that entry-level people can easily afford their software, and the software is just so good to the point that the ease of use is just perfect, right? So we absolutely recommend QuickBooks for small businesses. Number 4 is, what is a decent income for a side hustle? So I'm not a fan of side hustles, even though I've done side hustles in my life and in the past, right? I'm a fan of side businesses, right? So you can have a regular job. Some people may call this side business a side hustle. I call it a side business. So what is a decent net income for a side business? I would say 25%, right? If you look at it this way, if you have a side business, you are the only worker in that business. You are the marketer, you're the banker, you're the everything. Your job is to get the work, perform the work, collect the money, pay the expenses, and have a 25% net income left over. Because I believe you will do this, because you're running your side business as an LLC, you will be putting all that money into the bank, recognizing your 25% net income. That 25% net income, you could take that money, reinvest it back into your business, either through marketing, getting better equipment, uniforms for yourself, making sure that you retrofit your truck, or if you're in the trucking business, making sure that you have everything you need for your truck so that you can grow your business some more, take more jobs, or even come to a point where you hire an employee. If you have 25% net income, that is sustainable enough so that you can do your regular job, run your business, and have money left over to grow that business without taking money from your regular job, investing it into your business and trying to grow that, right? 25% net income is sustainable. It's staying ahead of inflation, right? We spoke about inflation. There's more money in the economy. 25% net income just keeps you ahead of inflation, keeps that business solid. When we look at financials and the companies at 25% net income, that means this is a sustainable company. So keep it at 25% net income, grow it. You will see value over time. Absolutely. You can even take that money and invest it in the stock market, invest it in precious metals, invest it in other companies, and have that money work for you, right? I don't believe there's such thing as passive income or income is active. However, you can reduce the amount of activity that you have in your income, right? If you are an LLC, a business, and you hire an employee, right, you're reducing the amount of activity in the business because now you have someone that you're working with that's generating that revenue with you. Same thing is if you have 25% net income, you take some of that money, you invest it in precious metals, you invest it in the stock market. You're taking a small activity to gain the appreciation when the market goes up or when the asset value of the precious metals go up. So 25% net is absolutely key there. Last question, do we invest in the stock market? Yes, I have been personally investing in the stock market since I was 18 years old. The first stock that I bought is called Felcor Lodging Trust. It was a company based in Plano, Texas. My dad used to always buy the Dallas Morning News, and my favorite section after the sports were the stocks section. They would have all the stocks on Nasdaq and NYSE, and I would always look at the closing value of the stock, the 52-week value, the all-time high and all-time low. And Felcor just stood out to me, one, because it was in Plano. I grew up in Carrollton, about 5 minutes, 10 minutes from Plano, depending on where you are. And I bought that stock at about $1.25 just after the housing market crash. So all real estate stocks were really undervalued. Not long after that, I sold that stock at $8 a share. So from $1.25 to $8 a share, it really got bit by the stock, the stock bug, if you'd like to call it that. I've been investing ever since. I absolutely love investing. I have, however, diversified to investing in creating businesses or helping people create businesses. For me, that way has more long-term growth. It's more tangible growth, right? For example, if someone decides that they want to start a trucking business or a towing business, and I have some capital available, I can go out and buy 25% equity in their towing business, help them grow their towing business, and really take the appreciation over time with that business. And to me, that return is a lot greater than in the stock market. However, if I want to have something less active, right, I'll invest in the stock market, let the money do the work, than investing in a tow truck business where I'm talking to the guy every day, making sure that he's doing everything he needs to do to succeed, to deliver with the customers. So it just depends, right? Yes, I invest in the stock market, but nowadays I really enjoy investing in people, investing in businesses that I can reach, I can talk to. We can leverage the knowledge that we have here at Osage Financial, the team that we have, the marketing team that we have, help that business grow over time, and then we can capture those gains as that business grows, right? That's actually a lot more interesting to me. But the stock market, absolutely recommend. Also, in addition to the stock market, I invest in precious metals, right? I have a young daughter. One day I gave her a gift for her birthday. There's a coin store downtown where my office is. I went and I bought a coin, a silver coin. Right, we spoke about silver. I started buying silver at about $15 a share, an ounce. It went up to $120 an ounce. When I bought the silver coin for my daughter, it was $25 for an ounce of silver, and I gave it to her and I said, "Hey, happy birthday, baby girl." She looked at me like, "Dad, what is this? This is not what I want." At that point, I don't know what kind of toy was popular. She wanted that instead. And now that she's a little bit older, and I'm teaching her stocks, right? I'm teaching her investing. I'm teaching her business, and she looks back at that $25 silver coin, $25 an ounce at that point. And now she's looking at the value and saying, "Wow, Dad, look at how this precious metal has appreciated compared to the doll that I would have had, and it would have just deteriorated, right? It would have just gone down in value after use, right?" So investing in the stock market, absolutely recommend. If you can add precious metals, gold, silver, whatever you can get access to, I recommend that as well, right? Why I like precious metals, just like land, is my grandfather always told me that possession is 9/10 of the law. If you have that asset physically in your hand, it's worth way more than if you have an asset in the stock market, right? And the stock market crashes or the stocks stop trading. If you've been trading long enough, you know what happened with Robinhood, right? Whenever there was a short position on GameStop and they stopped trading GameStop, right? That's because the people in control of the markets, right? The responsible people, let's call it that, right? Stopped trading. If you had a position in GameStop, you either lost money or gained money because of someone else's decision. If you have gold and silver or land in your possession, that is yours. That is yours as long as you can secure it. So I prefer that these days than the stock market. However, I really love participating in the stock market, so I still participate there. So yeah, I do invest in the stock market. I hope you do invest in the stock market as well, right? Especially if you start an LLC and you're hitting 25% net income in that LLC, in your side business, right? Two jobs, your regular job and your business. You're hitting 25% in your net income for your business. Take some of that money, put it in the stock market. Take some of that money, put it in precious metals. Take a lot of that money, grow your business over and over and over again, and then capitalize on the long-term growth of your business. Eventually, you won't need to have two jobs. You just have your business, run that business, grow that business, deliver value to your clients, and get the return value from that delivery to your clients, right? So these are the 5 questions that we're answering from the audience. We really appreciate you guys watching what we do here at Osage Financial. If you are a student, again, we really absolutely hope that you find this information valuable to you, right? We've learned over time the information that other people have told us. That's how we can turn around and pass back that information. If you're a company looking for accounting services, click the link below. We'll be in touch with you shortly. And thank you for watching another episode of Osage Financial.